For the past week, I've lived with a Cybertruck as my daily driver, commuting, grocery runs, charging stops, and even a road trip, not just quick little test drives. It's fantastic. It's part tank, part spaceship, and part luxury SUV. But here's the thing, as futuristic and as amazing as it is, there are some flaws that make me wonder if Tesla simply rushed it out the door. So after 7 days and over 1,000 miles, here's what it's actually like to live with a Cybertruck day to day, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Before we get into tech, range, or comfort, I have to talk about the road presence this truck has on the road. It's unlike any car or truck I've ever driven. From behind the wheel, it really does feel more like a futuristic armored vehicle than a pickup truck. The steering, the visibility, and just the way it carries itself on the road gives it this commanding presence that's hard to describe until you experience it for yourself. And the design is polarizing. Some people absolutely love it, and others look at it like it does not even belong on the road. But whether it's the sharp stainless steel angles or just the sheer size, the Cybertruck projects this indestructible rolling tank vibe. You feel it when you drive it, and everyone around you feels it too. One of the biggest surprises this week has been the sound system. Tesla packed the Cybertruck with 15 speakers and 2 subwoofers, and you can tell they did not treat it as an afterthought. The bass is deep and punchy, the highs are crisp, and the vocals come through with real clarity. Even when you crank it up, nothing rattles, which is impressive in a cabin this big. What really stands out is how well it fills the space. With a cabin this massive, you'd expect the sound to get lost or feel hollow, but it doesn't. Every corner of the truck gets a balanced, full sound. It honestly feels like Tesla put as much effort in the audio as they did into the design. Now let's talk about the comfort and the suspension of the Cybertruck. The Cybertruck's air suspension surprisingly absorbs a lot of the smaller bumps, a lot of the smaller potholes with ease. If you're coming from a shock suspension like in the Model Y or any other vehicle that does not have air suspension, you definitely feel like it's a leap forward and it feels very smooth. In my experience, it feels like I'm just simply gliding over the bumps, gliding on the road. It feels like you're basically on clouds. The adjustable ride height of the suspension is actually more useful than I thought. So you have a couple different settings. You have entry, low, medium, and high. And if you put in off-road mode, you get extract, which is the highest setting. But for regular driving, I find that if I'm coming up on a steep driveway, I just put in medium or high and no longer have to worry about if my front bumper or the bottom side of the battery is going to scrape the driveway or scrape something along the way. And also it's actually useful if you're on a job site. You can put it in high mode or put it in medium and you'll go over the muds and you'll go over the rocks and things like that. But I find it really also useful to set the settings in the app. So I don't have to open the truck and go in the settings on the screen to put the suspension mode if I'm not in the truck. I can just do it from the app. You just have to be close to it, I think. And you can put in entry mode, you can go all the way up to high. It's very useful and it's a very convenient feature. Another thing about comfort are the seats. They're very well built, they're wide, they're plush, and they're very supportive. So on long drives, you don't feel fatigued, you don't feel tired. And overall, I really enjoy them because the front seats come ventilated and heated. I really love the ventilated feature, especially in the summertime. So you're not sweating constantly in the car when the sun is beaming down on you. And also the rear seats are just heated. So you get ventilated and heated seats in the front, heated seats in the back. It's a really useful feature. I really enjoy it. The seats are, I like them better than in the Model Y. Another thing I love about this is the rear seats. There's plenty of leg room, plenty of headroom. And if you want to lift up the seats, you have plenty of flat open space below it. So if you don't want to put something in the vault, you want something that's maybe climate controlled, because the vault, it gets really hot in the summertime and cold in the wintertime because it does not have like any vents and it does not have access to the main cabin. You can put the rear seats up, put whatever you want on the floor, and you're good to go. One of the biggest surprises after a full week of living with a Cybertruck is just how solid it feels. Take a listen to the thunk of the door when I close it. Very premium, has that good thunk to it, does not squeak or rattle, and overall, it's really well built. I've put over 1,000 miles on it, including bumpy city streets, rough pavement, and even a stretch of gravel, and there hasn't been a single rattle inside the cabin. That's something I could never say about earlier Teslas, where little squeaks and buzzes showed up almost immediately. The Cybertruck feels planted, tight, and confidence-inspiring in a way that makes it feel like a serious leap forward in Tesla's build quality. Inside, the installation does an impressive job at blocking out wind noise and road noise, and honestly, it feels closer to a luxury SUV than a work truck. For a vehicle that looks like it belongs in a sci-fi movie, the craftsmanship is finally catching up to the hype. One feature I've come to rely on more than I expected is the blind spot monitoring. With the Cybertruck's massive dash and limited rear visibility, those side rear cameras that pop up on the screen are a lifesaver. You instantly get this wide, clear view of what's in the lane next to you. Also, what's surprising is how quickly you start to trust it. The system also gives you a simple blind spot indicator dot on each side, so you always know if someone's there. In a vehicle this size, it removes so much of the stress of lane changes. One of the biggest surprises this week has been full self-driving. In a truck this massive, I expected lane changes and merges to feel clumsy, but instead is shockingly smooth. The Cybertruck keeps its composure in traffic, never feeling twitchy or overcorrecting the way earlier versions sometimes did. On city streets, it handles stop and go surprisingly well, and on longer drives, it generally takes a lot of the stress out of commuting. In some ways, this is the most refined version of FSD I've ever experienced in a Tesla, but in other ways, it's also the most frustrating, and I'll explain later why in the video. Let's talk about the range and efficiency of the Cybertruck. So Tesla claims 325 miles on a full charge for this all-wheel drive Cybertruck. Now that's entirely dependent on the way you drive, the weather conditions, and your overall efficiency. In order to get that 325 miles, you have to be at around a 378 watt-hour per mile efficiency. So how did I determine that? You just simply take the battery pack, the battery size. So in the Cybertruck's case is 123 kilowatt hours, and you can do this for any EV. And you take the battery size, multiply it by 1,000, so you get 123,000, and then you divide it by the estimated range given by Tesla. So 123,000 divided by 325, and you get 378 watt hours per mile. So I've been at around 400 watt hours per mile, and you can do it the other way around. You can just simply plug in the watt hours per mile instead of the range. So you take 123,000 divided by 400, and you get about 307 miles. So if my efficiency is at 400 watt hours per mile, that means on a full charge, I'm getting around 307 miles on that charge. Now there have been times where I've gotten 320 watt hours per mile, so that would mean my range is at around 380 miles, but that was just mainly city driving. If you get a mix of city and highway driving, it can certainly fluctuate. Like on the highway, I'm getting around, I think, 450 watt hours per mile, because if I'm driving 70 or 80 miles an hour, the efficiency is worse because you're just consuming more energy. So depending on the way you drive, the weather conditions, and your overall efficiency, you could be looking at around 280 to maybe even 310, sometimes 320 miles on a full charge. And that's assuming you're not towing, it's not freezing cold outside, and you're not constantly flooring the truck. And that goes for any EV, and also any car out there, or truck out there as well. Especially towing or just constantly flooring it. And that's surprisingly well for the Cybertruck, considering that it's nearly 7,000 pounds and it's stainless steel, and it only has a 123 kilowatt hour battery pack. Other trucks out there, sometimes I think they have 200 to 250 kilowatt hours for the battery pack. And that's crazy because their efficiency is really bad, and the technology that these other companies have compared to Tesla is not that good. So they just stick a big battery pack in their truck and just call it a day. Here's where FSD starts to get frustrating. On the highway, it tends to hug the left side of the lane a little too closely, which can feel unnerving when you're next to a semi or a concrete barrier. And every time you first activate it, the truck briefly slows down before picking speed back up, which can be jarring if there's traffic right behind you. And then there's a cost. Tesla charges $8,000 up front, or $100 a month for FSD, which is frustrating in a truck that doesn't even come with basic autopilot like other Teslas. So unless you pay, you don't even get the bare minimum highway assist features. For a truck that starts at $80,000, that really feels like Tesla is nickel and diming you. One of the things that stood out immediately is what's not here. There's no front-facing instrument cluster like you'd find in the Model S and the Model X. All of your critical information like speed, range, and alerts are all tucked away in the center screen like in the Model 3 and the Model Y. That means you're constantly glancing over to the side for your critical information instead of looking forward. Now, if you're used to the Model 3 and the Model Y, that's no problem, but if you're coming from Model S or the Model X, it does take some getting used to, I have to say. And for a truck that starts north of 80 grand, the absence of a heads-up display feels like a real miss. Other vehicles in this price range, even traditional trucks, give you speed and navigation right in your line of sight in the form of a heads-up display. Now, like I said, if you're coming from a Model 3 or a Model Y, this setup definitely feels familiar. But if you're coming from the Model S or the Model X, or really any other luxury SUV, it definitely feels like something's missing in what should otherwise be Tesla's most futuristic vehicle. Let's talk about autopilot. Every other Tesla comes with autopilot, but the Cybertruck does not. So you're stuck with purchasing full self-driving. You have to pay $8,000, or you can subscribe to it monthly and pay $100 a month. Now that does feel like either Tesla is nickel and diming their customers, or maybe autopilot is not a priority for the Cybertruck, or maybe they have not fleshed it out fully yet. I don't know what it is, but if you recall, when the Cybertruck was released, it did not come with full self-driving even if you purchased it. So the Foundation Series owners, when they purchased Foundation Series, it came with full self-driving. But when they took delivery of their Cybertruck in the first several months, it did not have full self-driving until later they sent a software update and full self-driving was activated. Now I think it's because there's not enough data out there, and that's why full self-driving was delayed. And maybe same thing with autopilot, how we don't have autopilot. So you're stuck with, if you want any sort of driver assistance features other than traffic or cruise control, you're stuck with purchasing full self-driving. Now I do have the free 1-month trial of full self-driving that comes with every Tesla when you purchase it. It has been fantastic. I really love it, but I don't see myself paying $8,000, and I don't see the value there for $100 a month because I don't use it that much. Maybe on a long cross-country road trip, I'll probably pay $100 for that month to use it and take the burden off of driving. But as of right now, and also it does not come with summon or smart summon, where you could summon it in a parking lot, it'll come to you, or it can go backwards and forwards in a tight parking spot as well, or a tight garage. It does not have those features. It only has, I think, auto park, and that might be the only other feature aside from full self-driving that it has. Obviously, if you have full self-driving, it can navigate onto the highways, stop at a stop sign or a red light, make 90-degree turns, do all that stuff that full self-driving does, but it does not have autopilot, where it just maintains a distance if there's a car in front of you and stops and goes if the car in front of you stops and goes. And that's a real bummer, because on my Model Y Performance, I really enjoyed autopilot, especially on stop and go traffic. It was really useful. It took the burden off of driving, and on long stretches of highways, it was really useful as well. But yeah, it sucks that it doesn't have autopilot, but hopefully they'll send a software update. It'll have it maybe in the future, or maybe we just have to just purchase it. But yeah, that's one thing to look out for or just consider when you're buying a Cybertruck. It does not have autopilot if you're used to autopilot. Rear visibility is one of the Cybertruck's weakest points. The rear view mirror becomes completely useless when the vault cover is closed, which is most of the time. Instead, you're forced to rely on the digital rear camera feed on the center screen, and while it works, it definitely takes some getting used to. And then there's a backup camera. It's fine when it's clean, but the second you hit rain, mud, or road salt, it gets dirty fast like any other backup camera. That means you'll find yourself wiping it just to have a clear view. For a truck designed to be rugged and used in all kinds of conditions, that feels like a pretty big oversight. I wish Tesla added a spray nozzle like the one on the front camera to keep it clean. Honestly, the wireless charger in the Cybertruck is a bit of a disappointment. My phone heats up really fast, and without any active cooling like in other car brands, it can get uncomfortably hot in just a few minutes. Because of that, most owners will probably end up plugging in their phone anyway, which makes the whole wireless pad feel almost unnecessary. For a truck at this price point, it's one of those small details that feels so overlooked. After 1,000+ miles and a week with a Cybertruck, it's clear. This thing is a tank, a spaceship, and a luxury SUV all at once. Range, FSD quirks, and some design choices are not perfect, but the wow factor is undeniable. Living with it day to day is equal parts awe and frustration, and I would not trade this experience for anything else on the road. If you enjoyed this 1-week review, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more hands-on Tesla content. Are you considering a Cybertruck? Are you on the fence about a Cybertruck? What is holding you back from purchasing a Cybertruck? Is it the price? Is it the range? Is it the design choices? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.